On today's episode of the Supplemental Broadcast, our special feature includes Covindication, and we will also be covering on our regular topics for this episode the following fascinating main features, and after this we will move on to our bonus features. Now with twice the fun packed in each episode. And we will also be wrapping up this episode with today's auspicious op-ed feature, Esoteric Predictive Programming Rainbow Bright. On with the show. Hi there, everyone. Welcome to episode 42 of the Supplemental Broadcast here on Alexandria Alternative Media Broadcasting, an OK Copernicus production. I'm your host, resident musician, producer, and good buddy, Epitome the Burn Kid. My co-curator, Magic 8 Ball, is represented symbolically in the profile picture and is a super informative, interactive, algorithmic, glitchy electromagnetic spirit friend that supplies me with all of these videos and images I share daily as a scrolling archive for everyone's enjoyment and enrichment. For the sake of setting a favorable intention with the YouTube algorithm, I would like to state that this content is intended for entertainment purposes only, and the videos I share with everyone from other content creators do not necessarily reflect my views in any way, shape, or form. I am here to introduce you to some videos by various content creators who have some very interesting and oftentimes controversial themes to share, coupled with my insights and analysis that are pertinent to furthering and broadening our understanding of the times unfolding before us. Please be sure to follow the entire archival project that doubles as an intuitive streaming mystery school, hashtag YouTube Recommended Chronicles on X, Tumblr, and the YouTube playlist section for the latest in all the things and then some. Find my latest music releases on SoundCloud, and if you're watching me on YouTube, please be sure to find me on Rumble and Odyssey, not only to support my monetized platforms, but just in case anything should happen to this channel, the party will continue over on freer platforms. All links discussed in today's episode can be found in the description box below and in the episode playlist available on the channel's playlist section. We're going to kick things off today with our special focus, Covindication. So let's get into it. Our lives changed as the veil was further peeled back and new layers of corruption rose to the surface for revelation. While we acclimate and recalibrate upon learning that much of what we thought we knew was never what many of us thought that it was. I look back to the events of this century in particular, especially the changes in mainstream ideals and norms regarding health. And I can trace many of these events to the seeds planted last century to piece together a detail-oriented timeline leading up to the normalization and social conditioning required to pull off the events of 2019. I'm sure you all could too if you went back in those memory banks. I will place the start of the seed planting primarily in the 1980s and 90s. Although we could trace the overall themes back several more decades, I wish to focus on the social conditioning aspect more so than the, vaccination aspect. As I believe that is where most focus had to be placed over an extended duration to achieve the catastrophic results that we've seen unfold since the response to the incident. The videos I have compiled to share with everyone are very recent and bring us up to date with what we have learned since the rollout of the mRNA science experiment, that a high schooler from last century should have understood why biotech on such a conceptual level is literally not viable and shouldn't be attempted upon successfully completing a solid biology course. So one would think that experts with credentials should know better, right? Well, actually, no. Not if those credentials were bought explicitly or were part of some sort of nepotistic spoils. I was not surprised upon learning that Fauci's credentials included a classical studies degree in undergrad and a veterinary degree was seemingly good enough to get him into his position. They were from elite schools where networking and extracurricular opportunities are really the only point of attending when comparing such a curriculum to the curriculum at other institutions. I am telling you this as an alum of a Tier 1 liberal arts college who pursued undergrad in my late 30s. After years of putting off higher education, when I was a young adult, I decided to pursue a rigorous course of study and climb my way up the ranks from attending community college classes and a small regionally ranked private university. After utilizing some college acceptance success strategies I had learned back in prep school during the 1990s when I was still a teenager. When I had reached my goal of getting into one of these supposedly elite schools, not nearly as good as allegedly what Fauci got into, but it's still, tier one. During the beginning of this pandemic of sorts, and I had the unfortunate pleasure of finding out that most of my classmates were abysmal at best in regards to academic and social performance, but somehow a C's get degrees attitude prevailed while very few peers I interacted with threw their all into a challenging course of studies or even had a passion for their classes and activities like I did. Honestly, that was the only reason I wanted to be there. I can see how asleep and unassuming I still was at the time, and it really does show. I simply wanted to study in a small setting with others who care just about as much as I do, and that is not what I found, where great minds are supposedly enhanced. It would appear that now an education is no longer a privilege because it has become an expectation and an entitlement, especially to those aligned with many bloodlines and their ages-old obsession with legacies and controlled advantages. The culture of higher education was something I found to be so corrupt and blatantly deceptive. After my experience, I moved on to self-education and self-stability to step away from this incredibly technocratic control matrix they have gotten most of the citizenry either outright trapped in or seized up in by fear. Don't get me wrong, I love classics. I think they are a fine foundation for so many areas of study, but I don't find the credentials or the intentions behind such a career track sufficient or relevant for the position we're talking about in question with Fauci. When we look at the money and influence involved, it makes matters look even worse. I also found that at the nicer the school that I studied at, the work actually got easier, and my peers were literally less competitive and far more apathetic. I have heard these observations are far worse in the Ivy Leagues, including hidden and public Ivies, but due to the networking and political nature of these institutions, that increases the higher up these ranks you look. It shouldn't really be surprising that money and influence amplify dysfunction and glamorize degradation beneath the surface. If there was not a ton of money at stake and an opportunity to calm the masses, to provide uninformed consent to take part in the most cataclysmic crimes against humanity and science that we have yet witnessed this common era, this agenda the powers that be carried out would have been a complete impossibility. I'd like to take a moment to remind everyone that all of this greater project revolving around the conditioning required to coerce or soothsay the citizenry is literally rooted in corrupt systems, compromised institutions, psychological operations, corrupt occult orders, witchcraft, metaphysics, and black magic, malevolent political theories, dark alchemical practices not fully understood by those practicing such practices. And we were all warned about these events and prophecies from multiple cultures from all around the world. Just because the ruling class and their secret society henchmen have done everything in their power to destroy, call into question, or persecute all who stand for truth, freedom, and knowledge from sources that they have not sanctioned does not mean that they have a right to behave in such a way because they were never in the right regarding any of their actions due to their true intentions: covert eugenics, pillage, and plunder via usury systems and institutional abuses. Let's take a look at some outstanding videos that shed some light on what we know about all that has unfolded since 2019. And there will be more than these that I'm reading off in the playlist. I have a lot of great stuff in there for you. The COVID vaccine DNA bombshell they tried to hide, exclusive with Dr. David Spiker from Redacted. COVID control agenda and AI with Dr. Campbell. Matt Kibbe on the deep state, Fauci, and the COVID cover-up on Dad Saves America. with the Free the People. They're doing a collaboration on that one. You Will Never Look at COVID the Same Way Again by Clifton Duncan and Hawk Jensen on Zuby's channel. Are You Comparing COVID-19 Vaccine to Holocaust? Explosive Clash Over mRNA Vaccine Rocks Senate from the Economic Times. And Vaccinated People Are More Prone to Chronic Illness. Shocking COVID vax revelation at JFK Jr. hearing, and that's also from the Economic Times. There's a whole bunch more COVID videos I have in that playlist for you guys, so be sure to go find that and check the description box for a link to that as well. And now we're going to move on into today's featured video recommendations, our main features. So first video on today's chart shares so many revelations with us where the worlds of hidden history, political science, and occult philosophy overlap. Enjoy a discussion with Professor Hamamoto and guest on the topic of contemporary powers links to ancient bloodlines, and that help paint a different perspective on current events, history, and propaganda as a whole. Lots of detail-rich dialogue to enjoy on this video. That should help catapult you into a further learning on this topic. Second up on the docket is a new topic that is gaining momentum in the archive currently, gang stalking. Closing the Gaps video titled Gang Stalking, Living in the World's Largest Prison and the 13th Amendment. As I have been learning about this topic while being a targeted individual for decades, I am so happy to see so many creators and whistleblowers blow the lid off this corrupt and abusive practice. So many have their hands in this abuse of systems and innocent victims, including governments, secret societies, education, businesses, law enforcement, military, churches, neighbors, partners, acquaintances, relatives, co-workers, and yes, even complete strangers they just find on the street and hire to do this stuff. Lots of money is misallocated regularly to fund or bribe this clandestine breach of our constitutional rights. Be sure to come back next episode to join me for a deep dive on this topic because it's going to be our special focus next episode. And third on deck is a piece from Redacted regarding the catastrophic results of mandated anti-methane feed that resulted in the sudden deaths of many cows forced to be fed this highly questionable new product being pushed on farmers in the EU. Before I go any further, you know cows have got a lot of stomachs, they eat a lot of grass, it's really lightweight, and they have to have the methane to digest their food. Everyone does understand this, right? So this is just like cow genocide, okay? Okay. I just want to see if everyone was on the same page with me. Okay, back to the show. It would appear that we have entered the part of the timeline when the powers that wish to normalize both crimes against humanity and crimes of high science through discreetly insidious means are just running rampant. It is crucial that we take action to prevent all covert and coercive attempts to cull or circumvent nature as we proceed through the coming days, weeks, months, and years ahead. Our fourth video today brings us to a complementary subject to our first video feature. This is an episode of McDuff's Minefields, episode 211, The Black Nobility and the Club of Rome, comes from the channel McDuff Lives 2. Bloodlines from antiquity merge with religion, hidden history, and secret societies in this highly informative installment of this podcast. For newer videos from McDuff, please be sure to look for him on Rumble. He's moved over there now. And fifth in our lineup is a video by Russell Brand with the title, He Finally Admits It. Here's a little ditty from the description box. Bill Gates reverses course on climate change, claiming it's not that bad and urging focus on vaccines, air quotes yet again, instead. But does this shift reveal a deeper pattern where every solution, more air quotes, solution, he backs expands his control over health, food, and the planet? Well, this should be no surprise, especially considering the same powers that were warning everyone about the next ice age in the 60s and 70s are the same people saying the exact opposite is kind of happening now, or at least their contemporaries or predecessors or whatever. So finally, we wrap up our main features with a clip from Jordan Peterson titled "The Psychopathic Hijacking of Religious Moral Authority." How apt to discuss during our times, is this not? Another little bit from the description box to give you some idea of what is going on this one. Dr. Peterson and Abigail Schreier discuss the complexities of evil, its various prototypes, and how often it masquerades as benevolence or compassion, manipulating trust and morality. Drawing from literature like Dante's Inferno and works by Eric Newman and Jeffrey Burton Russell, Peterson provides a nuanced view of evil, urging us to understand its allure and how it can deceive even the most well-intentioned individuals. And that brings us to the end of our main features. Let's take a moment to look back in time. It's time for our bonus features. We're going to take a look from the near to the distant past, and from the depths of hidden history to the heights of philosophical concepts and esoteric notions. Be sure to take a peek at the following bonus features to enhance this media adventure we've been sharing with one another. And here's a list of bonus features. An alliance with the devil. The unraveling of the post-war consensus. And that's on Winston Marshall's channel. It wasn't a show, it was propaganda. French MEP slams woke Olympics opening ceremony. Olympics homage to the French Revolution, the most depraved events of modern history. That comes in from Static in the Attic. He's really cool. I like his channel. He does a good job. Then we got Tommy Robinson arrested under anti-terrorism laws from Richard IV. Lefties losing it. Rita Panahi mocks growing eco-sexual movement. That's absolutely terrifying. That comes in from Sky News Australia. Truth revealed, celebrity lies and global insanity. Coming in from Landria Onka. Torah Thinking is the channel, and the title of the video is The Redistribution Before the Messianic Era. And that video is actually from a couple years ago. That's the oldest video I think we have in this lineup. Now we're looking back to about a year ago, and this is great because we're going to compare this stuff in future episodes. Europe is collapsing, and they are doing it on purpose, from Redacted. From the channel Forest of Love, Saturn and Saturnalia, Generation and Dissolution. If you guys want the 411 on the basis of this like Saturn cult, Saturn worship, black magic, whatever stuff that's taken over the world and secret societies, good place to start right there. China Uncensored is the channel, and the video is titled China Prepares for Mass Civil Unrest, another one from last year. Really interesting to look at these older stories and compare them with where we are today, just to take a glance back in time. Then we have one in from Spencer Smith, Dune, the Third Adam, and the coming ... This is about religion and literature, specifically Dune and Christianity. And Nelson Walters' channel, Dead Sea Scrolls Ancient Texts, show how Jesus will undo the Great Reset. Another one from a couple years ago. Fascinating to look back and look at the overlap, look at the parallels, and see these things from another perspective now that we know more. And that wraps up the bonus features. Definitely take a look at those. Some of those are really fascinating. I love doing this past, present, and future thing with you guys. It gives us more to look at in each episode and really helps us better learn from all of these events. And now it's time for my favorite part of the show. Oh boy, love my favorite part of the show. It's time for my auspicious op-ed. So I composed words and they meant something to me, and I hope that you guys do similar things when stuff means stuff to you, and I hope you share it with others, and I hope that you continue to do so and encourage others to do that. So let's get on with it. Auspicious op-ed number 40. Predictive Programming Animated Retrospective, Esoteric Rainbow Bright. All right, let's do it. Let's take another trip back in time to derive some more esoteric wisdom and warnings from the past with a surprisingly insightful 1984 cartoon classic. Rainbow Bright has been unexpectedly mind-blowing, especially upon rewatching it recently. It is unfortunate that the quality in animated entertainment dropped off by the late 80s and almost exclusively was pushed to the straight-to-video market and cable markets by the late 90s. It would appear that the microgeneration known as Zennials, born between 1975 and 1985, were the main group who had television act not only as an entertainer, but also a teacher, a mentor, a counselor, a babysitter, and a friend. As a member of this microgeneration, while many of the millennials seem off-put by the concepts of children being really independent, children being conscious consumers, and children being a vital part to a robust society, I have a very different perspective, having lived the very 80s kid lifestyle of being treated by my society as a little miniature adult, and am so very grateful to have had the magical milestones and memories created that were rooted in youth and media culture of the time. This is such a unique series to cover in respect to esoteric features and predictive programming. I'm going to start us off with some interesting hyperbole to kick off this discussion. If I were to describe the timeline we're currently experiencing as a shared collective in the form of a sequel that was never made, I would go so far as to say we are currently living in the dystopian sci-fi horror sequel to Rainbow Bright, and am prepared to state my case with some helpful links in the description box so you too can enjoy watching the show for free. Don't forget to share all this awesome free stuff I source for everyone with everyone you think might take some interest. I always love a good free link, and I'm sure your friends will too. Let's make the most of this internet we share while we still have one, shall we? Rainbow Bright is an adorable and mindful series that bridges three realms for the most part: Rainbow Land, Earth, and the Pits, although there is a bit of mention regarding other realms in a few episodes, including some aliens. These realms are magical and interconnected in the storylines, showing very clear distinctions between intentions, morality, ethics, and social interactions between those who would be deemed good, bad, neutral, and yes, unhinged. It was the 80s, and we still talked about that stuff. The main characters consist of Rainbow Bright, her horse Starlight, Twink the Sprite, the Color Kids and all the other sprites, her 10-year-old friend from Earth named Brian, and the villains Murky and Lurky. It all begins with a young girl's esoteric quest of bringing color to a desolate land by locating the sphere of light and completing a multitude of tasks. Those who like their role-playing games know this routine all too well, especially if you like to grind away on a good JRPG like myself. She becomes Rainbow Bright upon successful completion of her quest and is charged with the task of leadership and responsibilities over all the colors of the universe with the help of the Color Kids and their sprite assistants. Murky and Lurky, the main villains, are an astoundingly accurate representation of unresolved toxic mother wounds and childhood trauma manifest into a life of spreading misery through trickery and the utilization of the dark arts that, when overlapped with the very real allegory of how the 3D Matrix is run by narcissists with a penchant for exploitation, distortion, and destruction, that is also connected to black magic, secrecy, and deception being the primary means to fueling an obsession rooted in a similar unresolved, oftentimes heavily repressed, childhood traumas and toxic family dynamics. Add in the battle over the most important resource required to keep color in the universe, the care over the caves that house the color crystals needed to make the star sprinkles that power all the colors throughout the realms is incredibly important, much like our natural resources' role in the health and well-being of our surroundings and its inhabitants here on Earth. Like many shows of this time period, especially the other Hallmark properties that were turned into kid shows and toy lines, a high importance is placed on learning valuable interpersonal and social lessons with a heavy focus resting on the vitality of a good attitude and clear sense of morality. Another great feature is all the meaningful depictions of comparing the mindset and methods that differ between those who live in Rainbow Land, the pits, Earth, and other realms. Storylines are episodic and consistently revolve around solving a complex dilemma through approaching tasks with the proper spirit, critical thinking, cooperation, and solving problems the right way. It is very sad for me to say this, but I feel that my generation was the last to have these values directly instilled on a regular basis, and many of my former peers had these values corrupted out of them due to the self-fulfilling prophecy of our social fabric degrading as a trade-off to secure some type of assumed guarantee regarding your security and comfort in life by way of an exaggerated emphasis on career and investments that overshadows all other aspects of one's life in exchange for said supposed guarantees. This is a centuries-old false dichotomy used to condition the masses into a fearful, permission-seeking citizenry ready to pull a fast one for a quick come-up, like those who hold and foster illusory powers appear to possess and claim to offer, with no such real or true guarantee. Just emotional blackmail and mind control tactics to counter dissent, aka black magic, satanic ritual abuse, secret society, public-private partnerships, executing covert psychological operations, organized conspiratorial campaigns, organized community harassment, gang stalking, etc. I'm gonna have to apologize for the excess editing this episode. Solar storm just hit, and I'm really feeling it, so my apologies, guys. Let me finish up with this op-ed. I have noticed that these lessons have been missed by almost everyone I know who demonizes television and praises books. Like many elites and academics virtue signal about, and in turn reveal their ignorance self-imposed through a retarding level of snobbery and a paranoid sheltering that they apply to their media preferences. I've said it since I was a child, and it has become more clear to me now than ever. People with an unusual xenophobia regarding the television seems to not like it because it clearly displays examples of their shortcomings in stunning 4K with Dolby surround sound. These types hate hearing about themselves, so they tend to act like murky and lurky when they're triggered. So they really hate how cartoons easily display to kids of all ages what villains look like, because it holds a mirror up to their behavior that they do not find flattering in the slightest. Many other classic childhood lessons covered also appear to have been either sanitized or outright removed from 21st century children's entertainment and culture. The amount of developmental milestones being delayed and IQs in decline over the past few decades is most astonishing, but not at all surprising when we care to couple the effects of depriving children from passive learning opportunities that they enjoy and leave a lasting impression, combined with the multifaceted stimulatory overload of the tech kids have now compared to my childhood back in the 1980s. The tainting of our food supply, water, air cannot be helping, but I think the erosion of everyone's humanity and spiritual fortitude imposed by systems that murky and lurky would love to try their hands at if given the chance. I hate to think that it is intentional to deprive children of meaningful entertainment because it simply does not coincide with outcomes that they would favor. Personalities like murky and lurky, but that is the world we live in. We can track and trace the trends of censorship or availability to confirm said suspicions. Classic lessons commonly taught to children across on-air broadcast television, sprinkled with esoteric undertones, linking easily observable understandings of metaphysics, ethics, alchemy, psychology, morality, ecology, economics, social nuances, expectations, risk assessment and mitigation, reasonability, and aesthetics, make Rainbow Bright a relatively philosophically robust kids show for the elementary school demographic that can be enjoyed by kids of all ages. Take care to look for all the hidden history hints and predictive programming components that tend to drive the motivations of the characters and hide in the backgrounds and in the landscapes. I feel that the way Murky and Lurky are obsessed with spreading misery and darkness to all corners of existence is the overarching primary warning about a world where people stop caring about happiness, benevolence, and beauty because they appear to believe that if they are able to paint such an illusion, they can overpower color in the universe and it is theirs to command, so now they have assumed to be its creators. This is very similar to the mindsets of those corporate overlords, academic cronies, and other proponents of the ruling class with their playbooks focused on similar means to devise what is intended to be easy, illusory control, generally rooted in the many forms of deception we have seen across the many tales commonly known from everyday life, literature, history, and other experiences. Okay, everyone, my EMF sensitivity is like off the chain. I'm having massive brain zaps. Solar storms are no fun. I'm going to try to push through this episode. I really apologize. I got to get this out here, though. This has been just on the back burner for too long. I'm going to do better next time, I swear to you. All right. Listening to the villains' thought processes while carrying out their various deception and trickery to gain power over primary resources, like color itself, to then claim ownership over all that are effective, was an important warning sent directly to kids from the creators of these works, while the television distribution industry appears to have turned its back entirely on serving other generations of children with enjoyable and fun passive learning experiences that focus on making a better world. Themes of betrayal, plunder, exploitation, extortion, industrialization, transhumanism, outer-worldly civilizations visitation, technology that encompasses biological and spiritual components of production, resource management, conservation, mediation, and unification for the greater good are all topics covered in a way that a 3 to 7-year-old can understand and later on in development use as an allegory to explain things that need to be paid attention to in the world around them. A steady set of humor, reason, and well-written dialogue is something I appreciate so much more as an adult revisiting this classic series. I'd love to hear what stood out to everyone who take the time to watch the series and reflect on it. As always, the links to watch Rainbow Bright for free on YouTube are provided with all the links I share in the description box and in this episode's playlist featured on the channel for easy access to all the videos discussed on the show. And that brings us to the end of today's enlightening media adventure. Musical selection today is a track by yours truly titled Spaztastic. You can go find that over on Copernicus Records on SoundCloud and across all the other music platforms. Just look for the Copernicus Dispatch. Links and everything are down below in the description. I'm on most platforms. And I'd like to thank everyone for watching and would like to remind everyone, please like, share, subscribe, and turn on those notification bells if you would be so inclined. If you enjoy the music on the show, please be sure to watch my new electronic music practice vlog, Bleeps and Bloops and the Oons Soons Soons, and my other podcast series, Pan Panen Pious Prophetic Ponderings. That's a sister series, a bit on the more spiritual side to the supplemental broadcast, but it's still about the YouTube Recommended Chronicles. And a huge thank you to everyone who is listening to my music across all the major music platforms. The Copernicus Dispatch mixtapes are performing better than ever, which really helps support the improvements to my productions. So thank you everyone for your support through listening. Now let me send you a do. Remember to find Alexandria on Rumble or Odyssey. Follow the hashtag YouTube Recommended Chronicles by following me, Epitome the Burn Kid on X or Tumblr, and check out Copernicus Records on SoundCloud for the latest from OK Copernicus Productions. As I like to tell you on closing, stay safe, stay prepped, stay awesome, and keep being excellent to one another as we need it now more than ever. I wish much PLUR to you and encourage you to art hard in whatever way expresses your soul's essence the best. Ptolemaic vibes, alchemical knowledge, banging beats, OK Copernicus. Catch y'all party people later. Epitome out. is Alchemical Knowledge, Bangin Beats. Okay, Copernicus.